Hello to all of you from around the world. I want to welcome you again to another beautiful edition of Soulivity Today, broadcasting live from our studio right here in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. My name is Brian Westley Johnson, and of course, we have another amazing show for you today. Today, we are joined by an amazing co-host, Sheila Applegate, host of Consciously Awesome Living, airing at 12 noon on Wednesdays. And hello to you, Sheila.
Hi, Brian. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Lots of perfect weather here right now.
Did it rain where you were over like the last few days?
Yeah, off and on. We had a really intense thunderstorm a couple days ago that was fun.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's funny because I love the sound of like thunderstorms and that kind of thing when they're not too severe, right? I mean, when they get
Right.
severe, it's like, woo, wait a minute now. Hold
I
on.
was hosting a group on Zoom, and one thunder roar was so loud I like jumped up right on the screen. But it was cool because somebody was fairly close and she could hear it, and someone far away was like, well, I hear the reverb of it and stuff. So it was fun, a way to connect us all, right?
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, I remember sometimes you're asleep and you hear that thunder crack and it's like, cool, hello,
Yeah.
wake up. Well, listen, I'm so glad you're here because today is a really great topic that we're going to be talking about today. We are going to be talking about and tackle the true definition of unconditional love. Sheila, do you remember the first time you heard about like this concept?
Oh no. I feel like that was just a part of life for me from when I was younger, but
Right.
have I thought about it more? Have I come into a deeper understanding of it as I've grown? Absolutely. This is
Yeah.
something I
You know,
focus a lot on.
I remember a long time ago, of course, both my parents were psychotherapists and they would have all these different kind of books and stuff like that. And I remember hearing about unconditional love from one of them. I can't remember who it was, if it was my mom or my dad. Um, but I really didn't I understood it logically, right? Oh, unconditional love, right? Um, but I had no real deep, like you, I had no real deep understanding of it at that time. Um, but as time went on, like you, I mean, I started to understand it a little bit more. In fact, understanding more of the verb use, not the noun use of unconditional, and I'm winking at you in terms of like to you, like around that. Um, and so listen, this is something that I think a lot of people, um, they kind of maybe know what it is intellectually, but I want to kind of dive down into it a little bit more today, especially with you, Sheila,
Mhm.
because we talk about this all the time. And we want to share some different ideas with all of you about unconditional love from a few varying perspectives to kind of change it up. So, listen, let's get to our first perspective, and this is from success coach John Patrick Morgan.
In a coaching session this week, I created a distinction with a client to bring more clarity around the idea of unconditional love. I think a lot of us, when we hear this term, unconditional love, we think that it means that I will love you no matter what. Even if you're being mean to me or you lied to me, I'm going to continue to love you. In the sense that love is this kind of this state that exists inside us. Like we have a contract with in ourself, with our relationship to this person that says, I love this person and it will stay that way. No matter what the conditions are out there, I will love you. I mean, maybe it can mean that, but I don't think that's actually where the real value is, the real power and the idea of unconditional love is. What I think unconditional love is actually a nominalization of the verb loving, to love or loving, and to do so unconditionally, to be loving unconditionally. So to unconditionally love somebody as a verb is to treat them in a loving way, no matter what's happening, no matter what the conditions. So to really embrace the power of unconditional love, you want to see the distinction from the unconditional love that I talked about at first with unconditionally loving. So instead of having unconditional love for people, what if you looked at it as being unconditionally loving to people, no matter what they're doing, no matter what they're saying, no matter what they're throwing at you, no matter what their opinion is, no matter what their behavior is, no matter what actions they take, no matter what, you be unconditionally loving towards them. I think it's more confronting when you actually make it as a verb and you make it as an action, because it makes it something that you can very clearly either be doing or not doing. Am I being loving? Am I being loving despite the conditions? Yes or no? There's an accountability that automatically comes up. It's no longer a concept where I can say that, oh, I love you no matter what, and there's no way of measuring it on the outside. Nobody could call you on that. Oh yeah, I love them. You can't tell me I don't. But are you being loving? Lots of people will have opinions about that, which may have some truth to it and may inform you. Am I being unconditionally loving? What would it be like if I were to unconditionally love, verb, this person right now in this situation? Find the people that you find it most difficult to be loving towards, even if you say you love them, and even if you do deep down. What would it be like to be loving towards them anyway? That's how you try on and feel the real power of being unconditionally loving. Much love, unconditionally. Bye for now.
I just love that.
What do you love about it?
I love the fact that, number one, John Patrick Morgan, as he's speaking about unconditional love, you can literally feel, or I can literally feel, because I'm talking about my perception of it, I can literally feel him using unconditional love as an action, right? As a verb, something that he's doing, being, embodying, giving, that kind of thing. And you just feel good about it, right? There's an instant connection where you feel good as he's speaking. And I think that that's kind of like the underlying essence of it. And it's just not feeling good to just be feeling good, which is fine too. But there's an acknowledgement and a validation that comes along with it, that I just love you, period. Right? There is nothing else that you need to do. What about you? Did you like it? First of all, did you like that video?
Yes, I like it. It doesn't fully. I didn't jump up and down and say, "Oh, I adore this video,"
Right.
or "I love," which is a thing in itself. The fact that we use love for so many different descriptions,
Right,
but
right. Which is
I'll be
true.
very conscious of that this episode. But I like. Well, first of all, I really like what you said about why you loved the video is because you felt the essence of his love within
Right,
his words.
right.
And I also like that he said that this is a step towards experiencing the idea of
Exactly.
it, because that's all it is, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
there's a lot, because to me, love is an essence. It is a frequency that is
Right.
available and flowing at all times.
Hmm.
And it is unconditional just by
Hmm.
nature. Like, it
Right.
is a frequency that is unconditional, that flows through all things.
Right.
It's similar to when Helena is here and we talk about joy in every different way, like that joy
Mm.
as a frequency.
Right.
So if we think of love as a frequency that is unconditional, the more we're in that frequency, the more love we can experience unconditionally with other people. So to me, he's talking about ways to try to get into that frequency. The thing
Right.
is, it's still in our head, right? So what is a
Right.
loving thing?
Right.
If we don't step into that frequency, we really can't tell, right? Because we might think, am I being loving? I'm being loving if I'm a martyr and I let myself put up with whatever this person does. Or
Right.
we might think, I'm being loving if I set this person free so they could be themselves and I could be myself. Or
Hmm.
I'm being loving if I tell this person off because, their
Right.
behavior is inappropriate. So yeah, so you know me, I jump into all the layers.
Uh, of course, because this is why we're talking about this today, right? Because
Right.
it is layered. There is some complexity to it, but there is, because you said it from the beginning, right? Which is love. Period. And we both agree. People, out there, if you have a different take on this, we want you to tell us. Just go
Yeah.
to our live chats and put some notes in there for us so we can bring it up. But you and I have the same kind of very, very similar and incongruence around love is unconditional. We say
Mhm.
unconditional love so that intellectually you can understand the difference between the two, but there's all different types of love. It's used in different ways. It's a noun, it's a verb, it's an adjective. I mean,
Mhm.
an adverb. There's all these different things, but at the end of the day, the simplicity of it all is that love is an essence that is here, that's unconditional, that is always here, regardless of whether or not we want to tap into it or not, or we choose to throw some conditions on it, right, in our own
Mhm.
human experience, and still call it love when actuality it's not really love. It's something else. It's turned into
Right.
something else.
Yeah. I
But
also
yeah.
like what he was saying about it makes us accountable when we
Oh
start
yeah.
work, because
Oh
it's
yeah.
a great step to go from someone who just says, "Well, I love," and so it doesn't really matter what I do. I just love you. You should know it. Whatever, that kind of just it is, without having taken time to feel it or contemplate it or explore it.
Hmm.
This does, as a personal growth for ourselves, help us stop and say, what do I mean by it? And what does
Right.
it feel like if I'm going to behave from this space?
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
I think
Right.
it's great for
Right.
that.
I love that. See, we're off to a great start already. I'm loving this, Sheila. Listen, everybody, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to talk more about this. We're not going anywhere. When we come back, I know that sometimes we use our love for our children as the model, right? For unconditional love. But is that really what we're supposed to be doing? We're going to talk about that. We're just going to ask that question, start thinking about it in your own world. And if you have some thoughts about that, post to our live feed and we'll talk about it when we come back. We'll be back in about a couple of minutes. Soulivity Today is brought to you by Happy Travelers Tours and Old Vine Wine Tours. the Satana products at our Go shop at go.soulivity.com.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame, living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
Hello there. We're back with more here on Soulivity today. We're talking about the truer definition of unconditional love. Here's another great video that I want you to check out.
What is love? Love is seeing somebody as they deserve to be seen, as they really are. Not through the lens of the behaviors they might be displaying in the moment, and absolutely positively not by what they might be producing in terms of grades or scores or awards. When a child is loved, seen, known as they deserve to be seen, is what gives them the confidence now in the moment, and trust me, far into their adult lives, to take the chances that will allow them to recover even during difficult times.
Oh man, another great video, another great take, right, Sheila?
Mm-hmm.
This was from the Center of Parent and Teen Communication, on on unconditional love as it regards with our children, right? But I want to talk with you, Sheila, about again, we use that unconditional love. A lot of times I've seen people use that. Well, my love for my children is unconditional, and so therefore that is the ideal that I should have with everybody, right? But is that really true? And I want to get your take on that.
I feel like children make it there's certain reasons why it feels easier to stay in the flow of unconditional love with our children. I think there's some biological connections that help us resonate with that. And society has more space for unconditional love in parenting, more expectation that parents unconditionally love their children. There's more storylines. When we move into romance, that's when we get really messed up, because our society has so many different stories for that are conditional. and so like that's a whole other network. So this is often a simpler platform for us to experience that. There
Right.
may be an innate thing that allows that resonance to happen. But that doesn't mean that all parents love their children unconditionally, because we can only love at the
Mm-hmm.
capacity that we have to love. And
Mm-hmm.
so it has this essence. If a parent isn't capable of opening to love, then even if they feel like they would accept their children unconditionally, they might not. And then the other thing that I would put into this is that this is where we get into love versus like. And when I've said it on the show before, my kids being raised, I raised my kids with, I love you unconditionally. There is nothing you will ever do that will ever change that.
Right.
But I like some of your behaviors and I don't like some of your behaviors. So for us, if somebody did a favor for the other person, and my kids still do this, I love you and I like you, or I
Yeah.
like you because you did that. Thank you. Right. So love stays
Mm-hmm.
steady and our like fluctuates depending on the behavior. So I think that makes parenting a little bit more easier in that state.
I cannot love that statement more. Um, I don't think parents give themselves, they don't love themselves enough to be able to allow that statement to be true, right? That you're supposed to just like everything that your kid does, right? And that loving them means that you accept everything that they do, um, um, regardless of how it may make you feel sometimes. But
Hmm.
we're human beings, right? We're human beings.
Right.
Parents are humans too. And we're going to have feelings. There are going to be behaviors that children do because they're children. They're naturally going to do stuff because they just got into this world. They don't understand everything that's happening. They've got to go through their own life experience and develop some wisdom, right? Around who they want to be and how they want to show up in the world and how they want to relate to other people, right? Including you.
Hmm.
That gives people so much freedom to be able to um, um, be honest, because I think there's part of unconditional love is some deep authenticity and honesty
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
needs to be recognized in each person. Where listen, you're not going to like everything that I do, right? And I'm not going to like everything that you do. But that doesn't mean that I take what you're doing or that thing as number one, intentionally trying to hurt me, right? Because your kids aren't
Right.
trying to intentionally try to hurt you. They're
Right.
just being
But when
kids.
we tell them how we feel, we're modeling to them how their behavior is going to affect other people. So
Woo!
saying that just hurt me, that hurt my feelings. I feel angry about that right now. Still
Right,
love you, but I feel
right,
angry from what you just said to me, that because that hurts. So
right,
those
right,
things that we forget that we should be modeling that, not just in our
right,
relationship with our children, but they're looking at us for
right,
that wisdom, that ability to discern their behaviors.
right.
But we should do that in our partnerships, our friendships, right? How are we supposed to
Absolutely.
stay in love if we, in a flow of love, if we aren't authentic?
Right, right. And and I was thinking about this. Not everything that a person does that may hurt your feelings is something that, because we talk about like love and change, right? That whole like,
Hmm.
I love you now change. I remember my parents would tell that to their clients that a lot of times when you get into a love relationship, because of societal kind of things that, I'm in love with this person now, they're everything, but now you've got to change because there's
Right.
these things that I don't like, that if you would change, then you'll be the perfect person. And that's veering off into what we're going to talk about next, which in part is this practice, right? This practice
Right.
of unconditional love. And what does that really look like? And we're going to spend a couple of segments on that because I think that that's something that I think never really gets talked about, right, Sheila? I mean, that's something that
Hmm.
we talk about, we debate and talk about what it is, but we don't talk about the action part of it, kind of like what John Patrick Morgan was talking about, kind of alluding to
Hmm.
earlier. This,
Hmm.
well, it's a verb, y'all. It's just not a noun, it's also a verb. And how does that verb show up in our lives? So listen, we're going to take another quick break. But we've got even more of this goodness happening because we unconditionally love you. See what I did, Sheila? And we'll have more with Soulivity today. We'll be back in a
6 years ago, when I started Soulivity, my vision was to support everyone in improving their life through the discovery of their passion and purpose, so they could become the best version of themselves, to battle fear and ignorance, and create a better world today. Get inspired to live your passion and purpose. Visit Soulivity.com now.
Do you see me kneeling on this dual roller called Parasetter? It's actually comfortable because of this channel and the softness of the special foam. It feels like my kneecaps are being massaged. When I lie down, my spine is housed in this channel, while the convex rollers massage my muscles. They let go and lengthen. There's a traction effect from my head on the headrest and my mid-back from the rib wrap, which hugs me. When I start the breathing sequence, I feel calm because my cortisol levels are dropping. Lower cortisol means bye-bye constant hunger. Parasetter is 40 inches long and much more comfortable than old-style rollers, but it weighs only 10 ounces. Parasetter, just like Pilates was, is no longer an insider secret. Do yourself a favor. Reset your parasympathetic nervous system. Defeat stress. Lying, sitting, kneeling, or standing. This unique patented roller helps everyone.
Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. In today's video, let's talk about the purest love in this world. Well, when we love people in a normal life, right, when we make relationships or when we become kind to people, we tend to be kind or we tend to love people on conditions. Our love and our kindness based on conditions. It's like this: if you became kind to me, then I will be kind to you. If you love me, then only I'm going to love you, right? So that is based on conditions. There is a saying that I've heard that someone is saying, if you be kind to someone expecting that person to be kind in return to you, you're not becoming kind to that person. You're doing a business, right? So the purest kindness or the purest love in this world is unconditional love and unconditional kindness. Or in another word, unbound love or unbound kindness. So how to do this? How to practice this? Well, the Buddha teaches us about this universal, unconditional and unbound love and kindness. He says like this: when a mother loves her only child, she loves that child unconditionally, without any exceptions, without any expectations. Same like that, you have to spread the same kindness, same love and same compassion towards all living beings in this world, without any exceptions, without any reservations. So the way to do that is you have to generate a mind of thinking like, may my enemies be well and happy. May they live long. May they live a happy life. May my friends be happy. May they live long. May they live a happy life. May everyone in this world, without any exception, without any bound, may all living beings in this world be well and happy. May they live long. May they live happily. So when you spread that mind of love and kindness, that is called the purest form of love and kindness in this world. All the other loves and kindnesses are based on conditions, based on expectations. It's saying like, if you're loving me only, I'm going to love you. But in true love and in pure love, it's not like that. He's saying, or he or she is saying, that I need everyone to be happy. I need everyone to be happy in their lives without any expectations. That is the purest form of love. So you have to have a great practice and great dedication, right? And you have to have a great mindset to practice this purest form of love. But you can achieve this by practicing it little by little, step by step, and applying this love and kindness to your practical life. So practice this love and kindness practice as a daily basis. Maybe like whenever you get up in the morning, just sit on the bed, just close your eyes, take a deep breath in, let it out and think, may everyone in this world be well and happy. May my enemies be well and happy. I am forgiving them. Today, I choose to forgive them. That is how you practice this little step of pure love and pure kindness. So practice it and feel it, that you are feeling the peacefulness inside. So make your life much more better with love and kindness. Namo Buddhaya.
Oh, wow. Hello there. We're back here with more on Soulivity today. We're talking about the truer definition of unconditional love. Sheila, that was another great take on it from the Buddhism YouTube channel, which I highly recommend people go to because it's wonderful and they have other great things like that. What did you think of that? What did you think of his definition?
I'm
And
going
his,
to let you go first again. I'm going to let you go first on this. You know I'm going to take it somewhere else, so I'm going to have you go first.
Well, you know, I again, I think a lot of these videos on unconditional love and, you know, even the parent one, which was this short little 1 minute, you know, take on it with our children and the importance of it. I think they're designed to help jumpstart us being in unconditional love. And they give, you know, very easy to understand, very simplistic examples of what that means, right?
Right.
I also think that as you begin to practice and you stay in a practice, right? Which by the way, folks, it takes work. We're not, you know, there's work here, not exhaustive work. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being committed to, as he was saying in the video, a daily practice of staying in the energy field of unconditional love, which is always around us, right? That we don't start, you know, we practice not covering it over with a lot of other stuff, that we begin our day and we allow ourselves to feel that energetic field throughout the day, and notice when our ego side, our five senses, however you want to put it, starts trying to pull us back into our conditioning. Because I think as we go into the practice of unconditional love, one of the things that shows up for us is an awareness of the conditioning and the script or the scripts that we've written for ourselves, starting when we came into this world with our parental and our communal and our societal rules around how we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to show up. So that's my thoughts about it. But I think it was great. I think it was, again, it was like part of the unconditionally loving as a verb, not as a noun, as a verb, action being doing like 101. And then there's other levels and other dimensions and other things that open up once you start that practice. So over to you. I want to hear what you have to say.
All right. So I do agree with what you said. I think it is a stepping point. And he, at the very end, he does say this is to get into the feel of the love, right? That this
Correct.
is a step to get into the feel. And as a teacher of these concepts, I do honor him, and I know how difficult it is to know something, to feel something, to experience it, and then try to take that and help others to experience it. So we're always trying to find those ways in for other people. And this is one way, one suggestion. I noticed that a lot of these, both the first video and this one, we're going in through the mind. And I think the mind is not necessarily the easiest way to go in.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
kind of giggled when he said, you know, and I know there's a language barrier, but he said, I need for everyone to be happy, and that's true
Right.
unconditional love. I'm like, that's a
Right.
need, that's a condition, right? We don't need everyone to be happy. And do I even know that happiness is everyone's goal? And then I'm
Right.
thinking, my brain goes all the way. And then I'm like, and how do we know that people want a long life? Is it really loving for me to wish somebody who's near their death, a long
Right.
life? Like,
Right. Right.
so I go down, my head likes to spin out and all those things because, and I'm saying it because we can so easily get trapped in the mind and think
Oh.
that
Woo.
we're thinking our way. So,
Woo. Yes.
if that space, it is a way of saying to love, I'm welcoming you in. I think
Right.
that that's really whatever you're thinking. If your intention is to let love in, it will flow in. So it does work.
Right.
And once love flows in, I think our capacity to love unconditionally, without it being a thought, but an actual experience of emotion, of feeling, of essence within us, comes from how much we're able to open to love and experience it ourselves. The more we experience it, the more we can love. So part of that's being vulnerable. If I was to give tips, I'd say be vulnerable, be
Mhm.
authentic, be
Mhm.
willing to be hurt.
Mhm.
Take your
Mhm.
chance. Love the trees, the plants, the animals. Like, let love be your essence, just for
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
And yeah. So, and when you're in that state, and it may be experienced by a niece or a nephew or a child or a lover, but it's once we're in that feeling, seek that more, I
Mm,
guess.
mm, mm, mm. It's funny because when he closed his eyes at the last part of the video, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though there's a language barrier and that kind of thing, I think that epitomized in part what you were saying, right?
Right.
Where this isn't something that you do mental gymnastics about, and that there is, oh, I've got to do this perfectly, and I've got to say these words perfectly. If I don't say the words perfectly, then I'm not being unconditionally loving. And then the rabbit hole begins, and then now it's the blue pill or the red pill, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
For those of you who love The Matrix, where you're going down the rabbit hole, right?
Mhm.
That the experience of love, i.e., unconditional love, really can only be experienced at the feeling level,
Right.
because that's where it is. That's where the resonant is, right? It's a frequency,
Right. That's
right?
the
It
essence.
it
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's where you quote unquote hear it, right? And feel it in your body, and when you're feeling it, because there's a clarity, right, Sheila? There's this
Mhm.
clarity of feeling that's there, where you feel validated. I would say this too, and I kind of alluded to it earlier. When you're feeling unconditionally loved, when you're feeling love, quote unquote, unconditional love, when other stuff starts to come up.
Hello.
Hello, right? When other stuff starts to come up that you've been pushing down, right, to stay in
Mhm.
control of
Right.
your emotions, your feelings, whatever is going on. When stuff starts to come up, you know that there's unconditional love there, that they're in the resonance frequency, because that's what the universe, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, is trying to help you do, is release it. Is release that
Mhm.
part that's been
Mhm.
packed down. Um, um, it- let's talk a little bit about the relationship between the practice of love, again, i.e., unconditional love, and in our relationships with other people, may it be our partners, our children.
Mhm.
You were talking about this a little bit. I want to make sure that we kind of go back into
Mhm.
this part, Because I think sometimes when we talk about love and we talk about relationships, when people do things that may trigger us, right? Or things that we don't like, society has told us, oh, that person needs to change so that I'll feel better, or that
Hmm.
I'll feel more loving, which goes again to
Right.
what the Buddhist was just talking to us about, which was very practical, which is when someone else has to change
Hmm.
so that you can be loving, that's not love. That's business. That's a transaction.
Right. That was a good line. Yeah. Yeah.
So just remember that,
Yeah. It's a
everybody. So
transaction.
I
Yeah.
wanted to get your thoughts on that part.
You said a few things that I want to comment on as we move into this. One
Okay.
is that feeling essence. And one of the things I've noticed with two adult children now that are on the opposite coast of the United States from me, I will just randomly get this surge of unconditional love that I have for these children, right? It
Mm,
just bubbles up inside of me and I will start to
mm,
cry. And there's
wow.
a moment where you just sit in it. And that's a training that we do, right? To just let that be, because it would
Right.
very easily slide over to, oh, I miss them. Oh, I'm sorry they're not here. Oh, I wish they were kids again, or whatever those thoughts are. Same with when I get
The
that feeling
script.
from right, my parents on the other side or loved ones who've died. I may feel that unconditional love and my brain may go to, oh, I'm grieving. I'm crying for love, but then we're saying I'm grieving. So, there's a lot of different essence of what our mind does once we experience love.
Right.
But then to move on to your thing about that, what I hear is vulnerability when
Right.
you really are in divine love. And I've mentioned before that I've been blessed with having some very, very deep soulmates in my life
Mm,
and the twin flame, which is something that I work with people on, because that in essence has nothing to do with what form comes from it. It is this connection that is so deep that you cannot run from it. You can't,
mm.
it is the most vulnerable, the most deep, frightening experience that you can have, and yet the most loving. And to me, that was a primary thing that got me to really learn how to love unconditionally, because you can't change that person and that person can't change you. You can't put it into a form. It just
Right.
is, no matter what.
Yep.
And, whether we're blessed with those opportunities or not, we created that on what we're ready for in this lifetime or what we need in this lifetime. So, yeah, then we have this whole thing in society of the expectations of roles. And
Right.
I think, like you were saying, romance is partnership, that we call it partnership, right? But that's what we're
Right.
referring to as a romantic
Right.
area. That's where things are so convoluted by society that
Right.
we're trying to seek the deepest love and confine it to the most limiting form that we can. And that's where the
Right.
chaos in our society comes from.
Which is a whole nother topic, right? I mean, we kind of touched on it a little bit here because, um, in truth, so there's these different definitions of love, eros and 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 imago, or agape, I should say, agape.
Hmm.
We have these different definitions. I think if the ascended masters were here, they would say there's only one love.
Hmm. Yeah.
There's really
It's like
only
a
one love.
river. Yeah. Yeah. If love is a river, right? It's a flowing essence, and then it will reflect
Right.
what is near it, right? So we
Right.
can see the trees in a pond, or,
Right.
the reflection of the landscape, but
Right.
the love itself remains one
and
love.
that and yeah and that our experience of that one love sh- shows up, quote unquote, differently, not because love's different.
Hmm.
It's because we have different experiences with different people as we
Right.
go along our experience of life. So I just want to give that to people, that love is not changing. We are.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We're the ones who
Yes.
are changing and growing and that kind of thing, and experiencing love in these, in quote unquote, different ways, but it's really the same way. It really is
Hmm.
just the same way. And
Right.
so, wow, 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 wow,
Hmm.
wow. I love this so much. I love this topic so much. Listen, we're gonna take another quick break, but we've got even more with Soulivity today coming up. So we'll be right back after these quick messages. Soulivity Today is brought to you by Assume control over your weight and broader health with the 80 Bites program by Physical Mind Institute.
For 50 years, we've been told, load up your plate with veggies. Load them up. Because all this spinach, look at it, all the spinach is only 100 calories. But avoid fat, because a tiny sliver of butter is also 100 calories. So spinach is good, butter is bad, right? But not today. Now we're told, put butter on everything, even in your coffee. Why? Because fat doesn't spike insulin, as carbs do. And stretching the stomach with all those veggies unbalances our digestive hormones. So eat healthy today means fat, fasting, stomach control, right here's the stomach. Forget calories. Hormones rule, and 80 Bites is the solution.
Hey, we're back with more of Soulivity today. Hope you're enjoying our show. Just want to remind you that, to go check out our great sponsor, 80 Bites, by Physical Mind Institute. You can learn more about the 80 Bites program at soulivity.com/80 Bites. Remember, this application is absolutely free. There is absolutely no cost to actually go to the website, download it, and check it out. Um, Sheila, wow, great show today. Really, really,
Yeah.
really great show today. Any final thoughts that you have on, like, on this topic at all?
Yeah, I feel like I could springboard into an entire another show, but
Right,
I,
right.
that to me, if there's one thing that I would want to share is my understanding that love is an unconditional frequency, an essence that is who we are. It is
Yeah,
what the world is. It's Gaia, it's the universe. It flows through all creation, and it
yeah.
is there, whether we're tapping into it or not. And so when we open our own soul and we allow ourselves to experience that in whatever form, that essence will start to flow in other areas of our life. And to remember that love, it's unconditional. Like how people behave, what they're doing, how the form of a relationship is, that is all tangible. That is something that can be changed, shifted. It is conditional. And
Mm-hmm.
when we blend the two, life is divine, you
Mm,
know?
I don't think I have any other thing to say about that. But amen.
Oh, come on, Brian. You got something.
Well, I'll just say really quickly that uh, be very, I would say to people, as you're going through this journey of understanding and having a deeper connection and relationship with the essence of love, which is, as Sheila said, is all around us at all times, pay very special attention to what comes up for you.
Mm,
Typically, what comes up for you and now this has been my experience, my guess is it's been your experience too, Sheila, that what comes up is related to wounds that you had where you did not receive unconditional love from your parents, from loved ones, from whoever, and that you go through a period of forgiveness and get support if you need support in that, and allow those wounds to heal so that you can deepen your relationship with love even more by giving that to yourself. Because in essence, that's what the big lesson, right? That we are love, we're part of the universe, we're part of the essence that's there, and that we are worthy of loving ourselves in the same way that the universe is consistently loving all the time.
That's beautiful.
That
Yes.
we're worthy of all.
Amen.
So all right. Well, we get to some beautiful plugs here. Sheila, you've got some really cool. You got this again. This is a great way for people to become more loving, right, to themselves with some of your soul connection sessions.
Yeah. So, today thinking about this, the way that I reached this state and the way that I would love to help you find a deeper love within yourself and therefore in your relationships is to connect deeper to your soul frequency, to tune in to that which is beyond your mind. And that's what we do in a soul connection session. I will open up to the divine and we will help to guide you in whatever area of your life that you are wanting to open up more deeply to the space of love. So you can go to my website, SheilaApplegate.com, sign up for a soul connection session, and use the code SOUL23 to get $44 off your first session.
I love it, love it, love it. And don't forget that tomorrow there's another great Consciously Awesome Living at 12 noon with Sheila. It's going to be a great show. We're replaying the one for Beyond Van Gogh, which I know that
Yeah.
Oh,
That
man.
one is fun, right? I loved
Oh,
exploring kind of what these artists have shared with us over the
a-
years. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, with our final seconds here, please remember to go follow us on social media. We're on all the major platforms. Appreciate you guys being here today. Listen, on behalf of all of us here at Soulivity, thanks for joining us. And we will see you back here next time for another great Soulivity Today, airing Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern and Pacific, both here on Soulivity and on KMET, 1490 AM radio in Southern California. See you next time. Bye for now.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent.